Hello, hello, John here again on To The Garage, and today we're again playing with Olive the T2. One thing that happened off camera is regrettable. I was cleaning out the channels on the door in order to make them slide better, which is accomplished. All locks are off, etc. And I was experimenting with the lift off position. There's a gap in the track here where you can lift the door off and get it straight off, quite easy. I hooked it back on and didn't move the door, and for whatever reason the door fell off. So all this corner of the door is now damaged and I've got to deal with that. But I'm going to park that because I'll get too emotional. So today I'm going to rebuild the lock mechanism and see what we can do about building an interior panel. The interior panel that was already on is this one, and like all the other panels, it's original and dissolved, but interestingly is missing again a large amount of the original material, the wood. So there's going to be a lot of guesswork involved in using that as a pattern. So as that's not a straightforward job, I think that's what I'm going to set myself for today, just to see if we can get that built. I'll take the last opportunity to re-oil this mechanism because it was sticking previously. This has been thoroughly degreased and now works very easily, very nicely. Okay. There we are. So back on the inside of the door, that little rod clips into a clip just there, and this spring has a hook that goes through, oops, there, and goes in this hole up here, which I'm not quite strong enough to do without the aid of a plier. There we go. And that is that. So now I'm just going to test the mechanism. Good idea to leave the window open at this stage in case you lock yourself out. No, still too difficult. Lock's got to come apart again. Okay, after epically thorough degreasing, I mean everything rattles now, I think I've been able to identify the issue. So you can see I've still got this collar on, made out of the roller pin to make this round because it had formed a funny shape. Well, roll pins are blackened, and you can see that I've only used it a few times. It's got this scuff mark on here. You might think that's expectable, but when you look at the contact point very carefully in this now very clean unit, see if I can show you so you guys can see it. This is hooked contact, so it drops. This corner is too high. This should basically, all it has to do is prevent that from moving that way. And bear in mind, this is sprung loaded this. Let me just attach the spring for a moment. This is heavily sprung loaded in that direction. So it only needs to stop this being pulled this way. And yet the shape is hooked. So in order to pull this out, which should just be a straight pull really, it's got to come around it, which means this has to be, put my finger there, this has to be deflected away, and there is a mighty spring on this. So if I want to pull this hook from around here so this can go that way, I've actually got to raise this before it can come out, because it's on the other side of that dowel. I almost got away with it. If I'd used a bigger roll pin, it would have kept the hook from fully engaging, and then it would have worked, but not so. So I think all I need to do is tickle this corner very slightly on the hook so that we've got a shelf but not a hook, and it is marginal. We'll know very quickly though. I'll do that and come straight back. So at the moment I can't move that with my finger. If I'm pushing down on this, I'd have to let the pressure off for it to work. Aha. That's the sort of contact we want. A shelf that means that can't get out of the way. When with a little bit of spring pressure here, it can't defeat it. But if it's one of the bits of the Viking build that's actually quite decent, is this is for the sliding door window. There's a fiberglass moulding, thank goodness, because I wouldn't like to have to trim that. But it's covered in brown vinyl at the moment. Obviously I'm going to trim that in the same as everything else. So I'm going to strip that down and see what we can do. Big effort went into retrimming the door, as in the sliding door. I've got it as good as I can get it. There's a fiberglass panel involved that's got that recess and around the window. It isn't perfect, but it's a hell of a lot better than it was, so quite pleased with that. the many hours I spent finessing the door lock mechanism at the back here, cleaning the channels and sliders, etc., have paid off, and now the door shuts reasonably readily, although the noise is because there's no felt in the track for these whatsoever. But now, turn the handle, door pops out at the back. It didn't used to. It used to need to get your fingernails under it, and slides reasonably well. And as I say, it shuts pretty reliably and reasonably flushly.